And what I can also do is, if I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are my properties. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they're my 8 properties that I've bought now with my money. Each of these properties here, if I buy them below market value, it means I can get my money back out, I can recycle it, and what it means is the next year, I can buy another 8. So I've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16 houses. And I just keep stacking them like that. So each year, I could be building my portfolio an absolute rapid rate of just 120 grand. Now, what's just happened in the market because of COVID, we've just seen a 10% increase in capital growth on property. And my portfolio at the moment, with the development that I've just bought, is worth £8 million. So 8 million quid at 10%. How much has my portfolio just gone up by, and I haven't done anything at all? If I can get 10%, if my portfolio of 8 million quid has gone up by 10% capital increase, how much have I gained? How much have I gained? How much has my portfolio gone up by? 800,000. Thank you, Michael. So 800,000. Guys, I'm telling you, this shit snowballs. If you know what you're doing, if you know how to buy property, and I've talked in the previous videos, so please don't fucking comment saying, I haven't got 15 grand. You don't need 15 grand. On the previous videos, I've taught how you can get started with no money at all. So if you've got zero money, not even 1 pence in your bank, I've talked about how you can get started with no money by using things like deferred consideration, assisted sales, bridging finance. All of these techniques which I teach, you can start with zero money. So the amount of people that I've trained now that came to me and they had no money at all. There's some people came to me and they were in 20, 30 grand's worth of debt when they came to me. 20, 30 grand's worth of debt. And now not only are they not in debt, they've got a couple of £1 million worth of property and they're making a couple of 100 grand per annum. So I'm always looking at how I can make my money work harder for me. So my dad then challenged me back and he said to me, if 2 people were, one was buying, one was renting, after 25 years my house is paid off, they're renting forever. So they pay rent forever. So let me give another example of that. Let's say, for example, somebody was paying 500 quid for ease of maths. So they're paying £500 rent or mortgage. So rent versus mortgage. Let's say 2 people. They're both starting out. They're both 25 years old. One decides to rent. One decides to buy. And let's say they're both paying 500 quid. So in my dad's mind, and many people's mind in the whole UK, is if I'm paying £500 for my mortgage, the mortgage is chipping down. After 25 years, I've got no debt. Whereas the person renting is paying £500 every year for the rest of their lives, and that's also going to increase as well. It's only going to increase with inflation. So really the 500 quid's irrelevant, because if in 10 years' time that's 1,000 quid rent, well, people will be getting paid more than what they are now. So it doesn't shift a huge amount. But I get the point. Somebody renting is paying rent their entire lives, where somebody who's got a mortgage is only paying for, say, 25 years. But here's the thing again. So let's say, back to my dad's house, 150k. Now let's say we needed a 20% deposit on 150k. We would need 30,000 as the deposit. 30,000. Now if we could use that 30,000, so we didn't put it down on a mortgage, we were the renter, so we said, no, I'm going to rent for 500 quid instead of getting a mortgage, and I now keep the 30 grand. So two people, they're both 25, they both have £30,000. One puts the £30,000 into a mortgage, and the mortgage is 500 quid a month, and they're chipping that down, and the other person's put the 500 quid into rent, but they now keep their 30 grand. And with the 30 grand, they go put it into property producing 20% ROI. So they put this 30 into something producing 20% ROI. 20% on 30 grand is 6,000, which is the same amount as the person who's paying rent at 500 quid a month is 6 grand a year. So if you kept your 30 grand and put it into an investment, that investment at 20% would be giving you 6 grand, which means you've cancelled out paying for your rent by just investing the money and making your money work harder for you. What you can also do, because we've kept our 30 grand, and based off the fact we said we could buy a property, an investment property, if it was 60 grand, we'd only need 15,000. So if we've got 30 grand now, it means we can buy 2 of them. So we could have 2 properties that are making us 20% return on investment, which is 6 grand, which has now cleared out the entire rent. And if we're buying them below market value, each one 15 grand each, we're doubling our money each year. And that's the reason why, if you know what you're doing with money, you can actually get better gains by renting than what you can on a mortgage. Now, there's a big but here. There's a big but. Do not get confused that by somebody who rents and isn't making their money work harder for them. Because the person who... So there's 3 different people. Let me put it here. So there's person 1, person 2, and person 3. Person who rents and does nothing is the worst out of the 3 in terms of making the money work harder for them. So somebody who rents and isn't investing any other money, they will definitely be worse off than somebody who has a mortgage, 100%. The second person would be the person with the mortgage, and the smartest person is the person who rents but invests the deposit. So they don't tie up the money, they're actually making it work harder for them. So that's the 3 type of people. So not all renters are the smartest people. So if you're renting and you just blow your money, then you're going to struggle the most in terms of making your money work harder for you, because you're going to have rent to pay your entire life. So my dad's 100% right. That kind of person is going to pay rent their entire life. But you don't need to be that person. You can be that person who rents and makes the money work harder for them. And if you understand how to make your money work harder for you, then it's actually better off to rent and invest your money. It's as simple as that. So the only question we've ever got to ask ourselves is this. If we can, so this is the difference between debt being good debt or bad debt. if you can loan money at 5%, sir, so let's say it was 100 grand for ease of maths, and you could loan that money at 5%, so 5% of 100 would cost you 5k per annum. Agree? 5% of 100 grand would cost you 5k per annum. There's only one question to ask yourself. Can I make more than 5k per annum with that money? And if you can make, say, 10k with that money, it's costing you 5 grand to not do it. But if you could only make, say, 4,000 with your 100, you'd be £1,000 down. So that's all I ever ask myself. I don't care. So when I invest in mentors, I have no issue at all of investing 30, 40, 50,000 pound in a mentor. So one of my mentors, I pay £6,000 for a 4-hour session. 6 grand for a 4-hour session. And some people might say you're crazy. But again, there's only one question to ask myself. That £6,000 that I pay, will I make more than that money back? And let's say I can make 12,000 by that advice and that guidance. It's actually costing me 6 grand to not have that coaching. That's how I look at things. So I don't ever look at cost. I look at return on investment, ROI. That's all I want to know. What is my ROI? So another example of that is I was speaking to somebody recently, and they spent 2 days getting rid of rubbish off one of their developments. So instead of paying for a skip, they put all the rubbish in the car and they took it to the skip. And they told me that they saved on a couple of skips. So let's say a skip is 200 quid. And it was a couple of skips. In their head, they saved 400 quid. So by taking their rubbish to the skip, they saved 400 quid. Where I'm asking myself, what income can I make with 2 days? So if in 2 days, I could go, say, find a property deal and sell it on to somebody else, and let's say I can make £2,000 in that time, it actually cost me 1,600 quid by going to the fucking skip. And this is the thing that I have with my dad. So my dad will go into multiple supermarkets and he'll get his beans and his tuna from here, then he goes and gets his pasta from there and he gets his bread from here. And he says, I saved myself 20 quid. But he spent an extra 3 hours. And I look and I go, with that 3 hours, can I make more than 20 quid if I'm doing high profit activity such as finding property deals and things like that? So I never look for the saving ever. A saving is false economy. You've got to look at what can you do with your time. How much value is your time? So with my time, I know that I can make tens of thousands in a few hours. In literally a few hours, if I know how to find a property deal, I line it up with one of my investors, I package that deal, I sell it on, I can make tens of thousands of pounds in a couple of hours. Here, I'm going to share something else with you. One more thing. What time are we on? Coming up to 10 now. I'm going to share something else. And this is to do with return on investment as well. So my construction company was valued around about £200,000. That was at the time that I sold it. I agreed that sale with my team at the time for around about 160 grand. So 200 grand was was the price it was valued at the bottom end, somewhere between 2 and 250. I sold it, I agreed it with my team for 160,000 quid, so 160k. And they fucking pissed around. So if they're on here, drop a comment in the comments. They pissed around, and in the end I went, fuck that, I'm not selling you it. You're just dragging your heels. You either fucking want it or you don't. So I ended up selling it to a guy who I work with quite closely. And he said, I'll take it off your hands for 30,000 quid. I had a sale agreed at 160,000. So most people would look at that and they'd say you've lost 130 grand. The figures were somewhat like that. So 160 grand was the figure that we'd agreed. He offered me 30,000. Some people would look at that like they've lost 130,000. Here's a question back for you now. If I was selling my company to you, what would you want to know? So would you want to know how much profit it's making? I'm guessing you would. Would you want to know how the systems work? Would you want to meet the staff? Would you want to come to the premises? Would you want to know what insurance it has in place? Would you want to know where we get our materials from? Would you want to see the database of our clients? So all of that stuff I worked out. If I sold that to anyone else other than my staff, that would probably take around about 6 months of my time to teach somebody the systems, where we get the materials from, the profit and loss, going through the Facebook account, giving them the passwords, all of that crap, that it would take me 6 months. So the only question I've got to ask myself is, with 6 months' time back, can I make back more than that 130 grand that I'm losing? Because the business was worth that all day long. So you could look at it and go, you've lost 130,000 quid. The only thing I've got to ask myself is, within 6 months, can I make more back than 130 grand? And I know I can. I can make at least 500 grand in 6 months. So if I'd have been stubborn and went, no, there's no way am I selling you my business for 30 grand, it's worth 130 grand. The condition was, you give me 30 grand, but I'm giving you a 1 day handover. That's it. 1 day, you take it off my hands. So what that allowed me to do was that give me time back, so I can now go make money instead of that, which is, again, ROI. So I don't think the same way as what most people do. I don't treat things like save 10 quid on my beans, on my shopping for my beans and my pasta and stuff like that. I don't look and go, I'm not selling that for that because it's worth more than that. I understand my time and my value. And that's the reason why things like going to the skip and thinking you're saving yourself 400 quid on a couple of skips, are you weighing up what your time's worth? And when I've trained people, their time should be worth 1,000 quid an hour. That's what I aim off at, 1,000 quid an hour. So, let's go back to that one. There's the 3 people. Your renter, that does nothing with the money. Mortgage owner, which most people do in the UK. Or there's the smart people who rent and invest the money. Now, you might ask me, do you rent your own house? And the answer is, no, I don't. So you might say, well, you're falling into that category and you're not the smartest person. And I'd go, yes, I agree. And the reason why I do that is I already make a lot more money than what I spend. So I don't need additional money. However, I would not pay off things 100%. So I don't have any intention when my dad says to me, when you've paid everything off, that's when you've made it. And I said, well, I'll never make it. because I am not going to pay off all of my mortgages when I can make the money work harder for me somewhere else. And that's what I do. So with my own properties, my rental ones, I use the money in them as wisely as I can. With my own house, obviously there comes negatives of renting, and I don't want to have to move. So I'm settled in a house that I'm happy in, and that is the reason why I own my own house. But it is not the smartest way to do things. So now you know, when people say renting is dead money, you can tell them that they're full of shit. And you can explain that to them. So guys, I'm going to wrap up. That was series 4 of 4. I've given you an hour snippet over 4 weeks. So I'll probably, with me gabbing on and starting things off at the asking you to share and stuff like that, I've probably shared a couple of hours of content. On my training, on my advanced training, I do 3 full days of 8 hours. I teach for 24 hours around the mindset around money, how to set goals, how to have a proper vision, where to find properties, where to get them below market value, how to find investors, how to write contracts, how to build relationships with estate agents. I teach everything that you need to know in order to make a shitload of money in a nutshell. And this is why when people say to me, you're training 1,300 quid, I laugh, because it's fucking pennies. There's people making hundreds of thousands of pounds off me teaching them this stuff. You're on the call right now, not on the call, you're watching this live right now, and you can see in the comments, there's people commenting from Wales, Scotland, Ireland, Brighton, every part of the UK. People are travelling to come and work with me because of the results I'm getting other people. It's spread right throughout the UK. People are actually flying in from Europe to come in and do training with me because of the results what I'm getting. So if you do want to get on training, I'm going to do the event price now. So I'm going to do something for you. So if you've been on my website, my 3-day training on the website is £2,000. When we do a promotion, so if somebody comes through one of our coaching calls, we do it at a discounted rate at £1,391 plus VAT. It's just over 1,600 quid. That's for 3 full days training on everything that I've just said. And you go into my private Facebook group, so you've got lifetime support to ask any questions. How do I do this? What did you say on that again? How do I make my mortgage work? How do I make my money work harder for me? How do I get planning? How do I build my network? All of these things we teach. So if you are interested, you want to work with me, that's the last one of the series. I don't do as many lives. People say to me, why don't you do lives? There's a lot of property trainers that do a lot more lives and stuff like that, because I aren't looking to have the biggest property company. I'm not. I pride myself on having the best. So my standards and what I teach is all about getting my mentees the best possible results I can. So I'm not asked about driving traffic. I don't give a shit if people do the training or not. It's going to have no impact on my life at all if somebody gives me 1,600 quid. It's not going to make any difference to my life one bit. And I'm just being brutally honest. So if you are interested, you do want to work with me, I guarantee you I will absolutely transform your life, not just in terms of making money, but looking at life in a different way completely. So there'll be people on here that have done the training. Jamie's commented 3-day and elite is awesome. So Jamie's done both levels of training with me. He's done 3-day and elite. There'll be people in here that have done training as well. Ask them, reply to them. So people like Jamie that I've put on there, ask them the question. But what I'm going to say to you is, if you do the lottery, you're looking for an escape. And if you believe you're capable of more than what you're doing right now, that you're in a job you're not happy with, maybe you don't feel valued, maybe it's the culture that you're in doesn't provide personal growth. They don't look at positivity. They don't try and work on their team, which I pride myself on. Within my team, we heavily invest in our team. We have a culture where we have a lot of time out, where we look at ourselves, how can we improve ourselves? And if you're in a culture where you don't like being at work, why are you putting up with it? Life's too fucking short to put up with something that you're not happy with. So if you're doing the lottery and looking for an escape, or you're in a job you're not happy with, or maybe you're just struggling to get by and you don't want that life, maybe you want more for you and your kids, you want more for you and your friends, your family and things like that. You want to be part of a supportive group of people who will help you. So there's no ego in my groups. I won't have that at all. Everyone's, it's that army mentality. We're all willing to take a bullet for each other. So I instill those values within the Property Investment Academy where we're all helping each other. So if you come in and you know nothing at all about property, there will be hundreds of people that will help you how to get mortgages, how to find property, how to stack your deals. After the training, if you're a little bit stuck on something that's not quite working out, you've got that supportive group. So that's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed that series on money. You don't have to struggle. You can have money. You can make a lot of money. I've got mentees making hundreds of thousands each year, and I've completely transformed their lives. So if you are interested, drop us an inbox. I'll get one of the coaches to contact you. And just remember, you don't have to live an average life. I've come from a background where brought up in a council house, didn't do well at school, failed my driving test 3 times, failed my motorbike test 2 times. But none of that matters. I can absolutely promise you, if you've got the right attitude and work ethic and you follow the system that I've created, you'll get the same results as what I'm getting and everybody else is getting. So believe in yourself, work on yourself. Personal growth is mega important. There's not a day goes by that I don't try and improve myself and be a better version of me. So I hope you've enjoyed that, guys. It's been a pleasure you joining me. If you've got any value from these videos, please like, please share, please comment in the comments box. If you're just joining on this video, if you come on the page, you can scroll back and watch number 1, 2 and 3 of the series as well. Thanks, guys. Take care.